It's been a very, very long time since doing one of these, and no, I'm not really happy about that, but I do have my reasons. One, I've been working on other stuff a lot lately. I'm a musician, and I just released my third EP about a week ago, which I've been working on for the last 4 months or so. And then, of course, after that, I put the Kingdom Hearts episode together, which probably took a lot longer than it should have. I know the joke is that the effects took 2 months. It didn't take 2 months, but it took a significant chunk of time to do. It's not the best excuse or anything, but I guess my attention's just been focused elsewhere. Two, I've been having a lot of difficulty coming up with what I want to say for some of these episodes. There's only so many times I can say, oh, I didn't like this, or at the time this. But I've decided I'll just do the next five all in one go, just to make up for the lack of commentaries over the last few months, and just to get them all over and done with, and just discuss the things I think were interesting about making them. So the next two games, Inspector Gadget and Sesame Street Counting Cafe, both came from that place of wanting to review more obscure games. And even though Inspector Gadget and Sesame Street are established IPs, they're not extremely well-known games or anything. I think I really did and do just find it interesting to focus attention onto games that not many people have talked about, regardless of whether it's, a legitimate review or not. 13-year-old logic kicks in at full force with this line.
And don't ask me how I know what a dildo looks like, or I will block you from my channel.
Seriously, who doesn't know what a dildo looks like? Ironically, it would have been funnier if he didn't know what a dildo was and was completely sexually unaware. But I guess you can't really parody something if you have no awareness of it in yourself. It's pretty annoying, all the references to Wikipedia as research. I know it's a trope of irate gamer parodies, but Wikipedia wouldn't actually tell you any of these things. It's not game facts. It really kind of bothers me just because it seems like such a cheap joke. Episode 7 has a few interesting things about it, most notably the use of live action footage for the first time, and live action stuff would only become more and more frequent from this point onwards. As a young, hopeful video maker, I thought it would be interesting to experiment with stuff like gaming montages and green screen. The green screen shot was actually pretty interesting, just as how lo-fi and makeshift the setup was. I just put a solid green color on my monitor and filmed my hand in front of it. If I was smarter, I would have lit the room properly so that my hand wouldn't be so brown and grey, but I still thought it was pretty cool. And it's the kind of thing you can imagine a young Boars doing, utilizing a green screen just to key his middle finger into footage of a game. Episode 8 is where a lot of things changed. I once again switched my editing software, this time to Adobe Premiere, which is what all subsequent episodes have been edited with. Most importantly though, this was a much more ambitious episode than most. It was no longer, here's the game I'm going to review and here's some commentary over game footage at the end. This kind of jumped around a little bit and did some interesting things. I remember writing the script and really liking it at the time, not really knowing why or how it was better than the others. But I think there was just a certain confidence that I'd gotten in my abilities, and as a result I started kind of pushing boundaries a little more and really utilizing what was available to me. Episode 8 was my favorite episode for a very long time, and still is probably one of my favorites. If the Irat Gamer series had started around episode 8, I'd have far, far less to complain about. It seemed like it went over really well too. When it was posted, it became, I think, the most viewed episode, and people seemed to really like it. I guess this was a really exciting time for the Irat Gamer for me. No longer was it just something that I did whenever I was bored. Now it was something I wanted to, put effort into, and something that I was really proud of when I did. This experimentation and wanting to push boundaries continued in the Nintendo 64 episode. This definitely kind of shook up the Irat Gamer quote-unquote formula. It was mostly live action and was probably the most ambitious one to date. It wasn't just, look at this game and listen to me spout some Irate Gamer quotes over it. It's actually currently, I'm pretty sure, the most viewed Irate Gamer episode, though that's probably not because of how critically acclaimed it may or may not have been. I still like it though as an episode. It can drag on at times, but there are moments I really like as well. A lot of people asked about the forum in this one. Everything from, did you really post on a forum, to, I can't believe you trolled a forum to do a stupid Irate Gamer parody. First of all, no, I didn't. I'd done quite a bit of web development, up until this point. So I just set up PHPBB on a web server I had, and forum. I think I just decided it would be easier to make my own reply rather than see what someone else would reply and have to wait for that. I'm surprised by, the responses though. I didn't realize forums were this like sacred place where, ooh, you posted a troll post, you tarnished the soul of the forum forever. It's like, calm down. It's just the internet. People also asked a lot about the Nintendo 64s, like the multiple Nintendo 64s, which is pretty flattering, honestly, because I never had more than one N64 in my lifetime. Anytime you see more than one on screen, it's actually the result of some elite Photoshop skills. I actually, even at the time, didn't think they were that convincing. I think this was, one of my first times using Photoshop. I think my very first time was the Simpsons episode, but, this was shortly afterwards, and I was just, playing around really. So I'm glad that they were apparently convincing enough. That's pretty cool. Fun fact, when the Irat gamer complains about how hard it is to play GoldenEye with a backwards controller, and you can see him kind of stumbling around in the footage, that footage was actually me playing GoldenEye with the controller backwards, just like that. It was really real how it was depicted in the episode. It's just, the authenticity is outstanding. I also recorded the Super Mario 64 footage. I recorded all the footage in these earlier episodes, which means I went to all the trouble of finishing the final Bowser stage again, just for this episode, which is not something I would do nowadays. It's much easier and much more irate gamer to just steal the footage from YouTube, which is, what's happening in the video. But if the joke is that the footage is stolen, then it may as well really be stolen. No one's going to notice either way. I think the biggest difference is that nowadays Irat Gamer steals footage, but he doesn't really mention that he's stolen it. You more kind of infer it. It's a little more subtle, Even though I think it's one of the better ones today, the Nintendo 64 one, I think, dissatisfied me for some reason. Maybe I thought it was bloated or just too long or wasn't funny enough or it took too long to make or something like that. For some reason, I decided I would approach writing the next one a little differently. My new approach to try and avoid kind of rambling on and, making an episode that was too long and, wasn't quick and fast enough my new approach was to write every line as some sort of reference to the Irate Gamer. So it's pretty much, rather than, a review or even an Irate Gamer kind of review, it's more, one-liner after one-liner after one-liner, and it's kind of, it gives a different pace to the episode, I guess, to, some of the earlier ones. I think it's actually a pretty good episode. There are a lot of jokes I really like, although it probably doesn't hold up without, a lot of prior knowledge of the Irate Gamer. Though I guess, a lot of them are probably like that. But I guess in the more recent times, I've kind of liked episodes that can stand on their own, even if you don't, have full awareness of the Irate Gamer. I like a lot of things like the Haunted Investigators parody. I think that worked really well. There was a lot of stuff in that episode which I think was pretty funny. This episode was finally the last episode to feature a damn parody disclaimer. I kind of like the dictionary styling and whatnot of it, but it's still kind of unnecessary. Thank God it finally went away afterwards. Anyway, that's the next 5 episodes that I was going to do. Check out my music, please. I'd really appreciate it. And stay tuned as we go into excruciating detail for the next 5 episodes. I should have a lot to say about those.